And welcome back to another episode of The Average Uninformed. Today we are going to do another round of Love It, Hate It, where one person has to love the movie and the other person has to hate it regardless of their opinion. This time we are doing Man of Steel. Enjoy.
Good day, eh?
Good day.
How you doing, Victor?
I'm good.
Did you have a good week, Victor?
I did.
Yeah?
That was a lot of happenings going on in the comic book movie universe.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. You want to get into that? You want to do real news first?
What? Oh, I like this. All right, real news.
Real news? Well, did you hear about the song Baby It's Cold Outside?
No.
No. So, you're familiar with the song?
Yes.
Like the Baby It's Cold. You know the song. I always forget how to start it, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about it? Is that your new song? Is that what you're playing now whenever you walk into your house?
No.
Smart speakers set up, so whenever your phone walks in.
Maybe I should add a protest. But a lot of radio stations in Canada and the US have banned it because
They don't want people to believe that it's cold outside?
because of the wake of the Me Too movement. Because if you listen to the lyrics, if you were a very sensitive person, you could assume that they're talking about a guy trying to have sex with a girl and she's refusing multiple times.
But it's cold outside.
Not that that is funny in itself, but I don't think that's what that song is about. It's written in the 40s.
Is that old?
Oh, yeah. Very old song.
Oh.
And I shouldn't talk too much trash about it because one of the companies that has banned it, I work for. So,
Well, allow me to trash talk.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I don't understand. Is it are people just gonna start banning all these potentially offensive things
Yeah,
until we're just completely PC, and then it gets to a point where someone says something slightly mean and unprofessional, and they get sent off to a camp?
Yeah. That's what's going to happen, Victor. This is where it starts.
I'm gonna be there so quick.
Yeah, you're very offensive.
That's true.
But yeah, they've stopped playing it. And the lines, I was reading this on Global News, and they were giving lines of the song that could be considered offensive. And the one line I thought would have been, kind of red flagged was not on their list. But the line I thought of, she goes, "Hey, say, what's in this drink?" But no, that one was fine. But it was just the neighbors might think, "Baby, it's cold outside."
It's cold medicine.
Yeah.
Preemptively attacking the cold virus.
Yeah. But anyway,
Virus, bacteria?
so enough people have complained about it that corporations are like, well, it's bad press for us to play it. So let's make a statement so we can pat ourselves on the back and ban it.
A bunch of nerds.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I have older people on Facebook who are middle-aged or above,
Yeah.
and all of them in protest are just sharing the song on Facebook. It's kind of funny that way, but
I feel like there's a lot more offensive shit on the radio now.
yeah, maybe we should look at some of Nicki Minaj's music before we ban stuff from the 40s. But yeah, and I was reading too that if the problem is the dynamic in it, that there is a woman refusing and there's a man continuing to pester, why not just change the duet to the woman is the one pestering and the guy is one well, maybe I should go home.
But then you're gonna get people all upset. It's oh, that's not fair, because then it's potentially rape the other way, and then you're gonna get people who's oh, men can't get raped.
And then I also read there's a couple in Minnesota that changed some of the lyrics, which I found kind of not redundant, but just unnecessary.
Yeah.
And it was I ought to say no, no, no. And then he responds with, "You have every right to say no."
That's so cringy.
I just mean, I understand that certain things trigger people and it's a real thing,
Well,
but
it's
can you
fine.
maybe take it with some aplomb and just realize that the song was not written in for that intention?
Yeah.
It's from the 40s.
Oh, what was that book? To Kill a Mockingbird? They banned that from schools last year
Really?
because it made students uncomfortable
Why?
because there's racism in it.
That's the whole point.
Yeah. That's what
Oh
I
my
said.
gosh, we got to stop with this hand holding. Like, it's ridiculous.
We're just gonna have a bunch of pussies growing up.
You're not wrong though. Like,
No,
like
because you get rid of you get rid of all the pointy objects in the world. As soon as someone gets pricked, it's gonna be like the end of the world for them.
yeah. Well, have you heard of, you know what helicopter parenting is, right?
I literally learned that today.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
So you know what it means though, right? Like they're just like always hovering and be like,
Yeah.
oh, no, don't touch that. That's going to be bad for you. There's a new one that, at least it's new to me, called lawnmower parenting. And so that
That
means
doesn't make sense.
you go ahead and take away any possible situation that could affect your child negatively. So,
I'm thinking like gaming terms, like an aggro parent.
well, yeah, something like that, where you're playing, Diablo 3, and someone is just going ahead and killing all the monsters before you get to them. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so I remember reading about this, and there was an example that they gave. It was this guy, his daughter called him from high school and said, "I forgot my water bottle."
Mm-hmm.
And then so he showed up at the school, like dressed like this was, it was from the point of view of like the secretary at the front office or something. And she's like, he showed up in his suit, like obviously either on the way from work or like came from his work, and brought a water bottle. And he was just like, yeah, my girl, like, she has to have her water bottle. And it's like, we have water fountains. Like, what's the problem if she forgets her water bottle? Like, if anything,
buy one.
Yeah. Well, not buy one, but like, if anything, you learn your lesson. Like, I better make sure I don't forget it next time. Like, it's just, it's ridiculous. And that's not how I'm going to raise my kids.
Actually, on that note, did you hear about the father that made his daughter walk to school?
I read that today.
5 miles because she was kicked off the bus for bullying some kid, like as a second time.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, but also like I don't. It's a little harsh, but like it's kind of like the harsh maybe she needed.
Yeah, but like she's never gonna do that again.
No, probably
and,
not.
Like he was driving behind her the entire.
Oh, okay. See,
so it wasn't like go, I'll see you tonight.
Yeah, as I was reading it, I was like, I probably would follow them.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it was like 8 kilometers or something like that.
Yeah, it's like 8 kilometers, which is about I think a 2-hour walk. Well, at her pace, probably would have freaking took her like 3 hours.
My goodness.
Well, like the average person walks 4 kilometers an hour. But
I walk 7 because I'm very fast.
I don't know if that's accurate or
It's
true.
probably made up. There's no way to know.
Well, there is.
Anyway, that's parenting in the 21st century.
Actually, that's how I learned about helicopter
Parenting.
Yeah.
Because he's the opposite of it. He's a machine gun parent.
Well, and then I was talking to my friend. I was saying like, if I had a kid, like I would 100% avoid the whole hand holding thing because that's like how I learned majority of my lessons.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're supposed to make mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, my dad wasn't like holding or like just dumping me in like a field full of sharp objects and trying to teach me that like sharp objects will cut you, but
you let them figure it out. Like, yeah, and I mean, you and I have talked about that before. Like, I know people who their dad took care of lots of things for them to the point where they didn't know how to do basic tasks. Like, I think I told you before, there was someone I knew who was having computer problems, and so I looked at their computer, and they hadn't updated their computer in like 6 years or something like that. And it's because their dad always did it for them. And not to knock him, he just loved doing that, but like they never learned how to take care of that small problem. Anyway, we should probably move on.
Moving on.
There was also PETA released a statement today.
Oh, good.
Do you know PETA, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what they stand for, but they're the people who are against
people
who have anything to do with animals.
Things and animals.
Yeah. So this is their tweet. Words matter. And as our understanding of social justice evolves, our language evolves along with it. Here's how to remove speciesism, not a thing, from your daily conversations. Stop using anti-animal language. Instead of saying, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, say, feed 2 birds with 1 scone.
Oh, okay. I saw that circling around the internet. I had no idea where that was coming from.
Instead of be the guinea pig, say, be the test tube. Instead of saying beat a dead horse, say feed a fed horse. Instead of saying bring home the bacon, say bring home the bagels. Instead of saying take the bull by the horns, take the flower by the thorns.
That's stupid. Like
they're like, it is really stupid, but they're kind of clever.
Like they do work, and 100% if I heard those versions first before the original ones,
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, those make sense. I understand the message behind that, but that's stupid.
Yeah.
Do something better with your time.
Well, it's also like the fact that they call it speciesism as if it's like on the same level of racism and sexism and
oh,
stuff
it
like
is.
that.
100%.
It's not, Victor. It's not. I know you're joking, but it's not. Because it just kind of takes away how serious those other things are. Because, like, if you were to say to a pig, I'm going to bring home the bacon, he doesn't care because he doesn't speak English.
But what if it spoke English? What if it understood English?
Well, then that's another conversation, Victor, because now you're rich because you have a talking pig.
Wait, isn't that a plot to a movie?
Yeah, it's Babe.
Oh,
Or there was another one.
I
It was like a
unintentionally made a
knockoff.
reference.
It's like Norman or something like that. Or Gordy.
So wait, what? So they're basically saying animals are above plants.
Yeah.
So you can use plants. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Did you know that a G.I. Joe Snake Eyes movie is happening?
But why?
I don't know. Because he's a popular character and they're trying to revitalize that brand.
I guess so.
You like Snake Eyes? Do you like G.I. Joe? Is probably a better question.
My only exposure to them is the parody videos on YouTube where they dub over, or not dub over, but they like cut audio from the G.I. Joe cartoon.
Oh, no, I've never seen those.
Oh, they are hilarious. They're like, I don't even know how to describe them.
Okay.
But they're stupid and they're silly. And the G.I. Joe movies, which are also funny and stupid.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. Yeah, we had G.I. Joes when we were...
Did you get your own or did you get hand-me-downs?
I got both.
Oh.
I also got the knockoff brands, like the Corsman, I think they were called.
G.I. George?
No, it wasn't G.I. George. It was like it was... We called it Corpse because it was Corps, but it was...
E?
No, but it was Core. It was Corman. But anyway, we had them growing up, but we never knew who anyone was, so we just played with them. But we never watched the show or anything like that. And I don't know how good that movie's going to be if your main character doesn't speak.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
And also wears a mask the entire time so you can't see his face.
Don't knock that. Dredd did that perfectly well.
But you could see his mouth.
It wasn't really a mouth, though. It was just a scowl.
But he could also talk.
Wait, shit, wrong Dredd.
I am the law. Anyway, we got a little bit of Marvel news, and then we could talk about the trailer that dropped at the beginning of the week.
All right. Hit me up.
Daredevil was canceled.
Oh. I'm actually not surprised.
Yeah, I kind of thought it would be the last one to go. I kind of thought it would get a season 4 before they canceled it. But did you end up watching season 3?
No, I didn't.
You should still,
I
because
know.
it's still worth it.
I
Still worth it to talk about on someone's podcast, but whatever.
Fine, I'll watch it. Maybe I should start watching that instead of going through Stargate SG-1 again.
Yeah, maybe you should. Maybe you should, because someone over here is never going to watch Stargate.
Oh, you should, though. It's so good.
Yeah, maybe I will. But I'm not going to, out of principle.
It's a terrible reason.
Yeah, there's nothing really more to say about Daredevil.
Okay, here we go.
Apparently Marvel is fast-tracking a Shang-Chi movie.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who that is? He's basically Bruce Lee.
Oh, shit. Cool. Wait. Does he have powers?
No, I'm pretty sure he's just like the master of Kung Fu.
Whoa.
So it's just, it'll be more than likely an Asian American playing the character. And yeah.
So it has to take place in America?
I don't know. He's in America. So it could easily take place. Kung Fu is from China, right?
I have no idea. I just know it's in my blood.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're fast tracking it, and Dave Callahan is writing it. I wish I had written down other stuff he'd written because I don't remember what he did. But
one of them was definitely King Kong.
You think so?
Probably. And the other one was probably
Like the 1933 one?
both.
He's written every King Kong that's come out?
Just that one that you mentioned, and the other one you're thinking of.
The one with Jeff Bridges in the 80s?
Yeah. Oh, and he wrote Tron.
And Tron.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Moving on. Definitely not fact checking that one.
There's no way to fact check it. All right, that was it. Do you want to talk Captain Marvel?
watched that at work and couldn't watch it in the office, so I went to the bathroom to watch it. So I was huddled in a stall. Whoa, it was good.
Yeah, you liked it?
Yeah.
I liked it too.
I like that they expanded on her hitting that old woman. And it wasn't the reason that I was hoping for, but
Then she just hated old people?
yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been ideal.
That's a
would've
weird trait for a superhero to have.
Mm-hmm. So
Just-
she would have
just a
stood out.
disdain for the elderly.
Well, she would have stood out, kind of like how Groot does. It's like, oh, that's that superhero. That's a tree. Oh, you mean Groot? The only character that's a tree?
Yeah.
The
Just
only
like
character
Captain
that-
Marvel is the only one who hits the elderly.
Yeah. Imagine like midway through a battle, she
Well, I
flies
guess-
off, beats an old man down.
Anyone who hits Captain America, though, technically falls under that umbrella.
Oh yeah, he's old,
He's like in his 90s or something.
like a fossil.
It's not his fault. He was asleep for 70 of those years. But
Imagine how good that would have felt coming out of that, or
I
awful.
wonder.
I don't know.
I wonder if he had pneumonia. Well, he wouldn't have pneumonia because he's a super being, right?
Super.
Being.
Yes. Okay.
Oh man, yeah. There was some Captain Marvel punching old people. There's some Skrulls.
Scrawls.
What did you think of the Skrulls?
Scrawls.
Skrulls.
Scrolls.
Am I saying it wrong? I feel like I'm saying it right.
That's okay.
Skrulls.
Okay.
Say it right, and then I'll say it back to you.
Scroll.
Skrull.
Kind of like skull, but
Yeah, with an R. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
you're saying scrawl like a sprawl.
Skrull.
That's okay. It's okay. You do you.
Okay. I don't hear a difference, but
That's okay.
we have to trample on my flowers. I don't know why. But anyway,
Is it-
what
is
did
that-
you think
is
of
that
the
a-
Skrulls?
They're fine. They're
Really, I liked them more this time. Like the first shot they gave us in the first trailer, either they were all wet or like the lighting was weird or something. But like there was one shot of
Oh, they lube themselves up before every scene.
oh okay,
So you can tell
but
they're
there was
alien.
one shot in this one with Talos,
Sure.
whatever the bad guy's name is. He looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
The close up of him.
It's weird. I don't know any of the characters in this movie except for like Nick Fury, obviously, and
Coulson.
Captain Marvel. Was he in the shot?
He was
Oh
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
first
yeah.
trailer.
Yeah, yeah. But like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I don't
it's
know.
one of those.
anything
It's
about
one of those movies where like I'm not gonna know any of the characters. Like Aquaman. Like I know Aquaman and I know the other weird guy. with
Black Manta.
Black Manta.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I know only 2 characters from that, but
yeah.
I'm happily
Well, it's ignorance
fine
is
with
bliss,
that.
right?
Yeah. like happy to learn about these characters as we go.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there's some speculation and some.
Oh.
So I think because we're not like talking in full about a movie and it could be a spoiler, I think I'll put a time code in the description. But we're gonna do spoilers in 1, 2, 3. There was a toy released of a Funko Pop of Jude Law's character,
Yeah.
and it's not Marvel as everyone thought. It is Jan Rog, which we talked about last week, I think.
We talked about it, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, so Jan Rog he's a bad guy. And he was actually like the original Marvel's like nemesis.
Oh.
And then he was actually responsible for giving
Is
Carol
Marvel
Danvers.
going to be in this?
I don't know. Maybe not. But yeah, so I kind of suspected though, because I think it was Mr. Sunday Movies who did a breakdown of the first trailer, and like her entire team for the Kree, they're all bad guys from the comics.
Oh.
And so it's like, why would it be all bad guys and then Jude Law is a good guy?
I mean, Captain Marvel's a good guy.
Well, yeah, but it makes more sense if there's one good guy instead of two. But and also like the look he gave in the trailer in the first one was more like, "What have I done?" instead of like, like, "Wow, that power is amazing," or whatever. The other spoiler that we'll get through first before we talk about other stuff was there was toys released, and one of them was of Nick Fury with the cat that he was hanging out with at the end of the trailer.
Yeah.
But the cat is in shackles and has a muzzle on.
Oh.
So people are like wondering, like, is that cat a Skrull? Skrull?
I'm not going to say anything.
Is that cat a Skrull? And is that the thing that rips out his eye?
Oh, that's exciting.
Because imagine if, like, because he said in Winter Soldier, I think he said, last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. How funny would it be if it was a cat that he trusted?
that'd be hilarious.
And
And it would make that scene so much funnier.
The rest of his life, he hates cats.
Can you imagine after that cuts after he says that line about last time he trusted someone, he lost an eye. It's a flashback to a cat clawing his eye out.
Just do an edit of that real quick. Just a flash.
We gotta do that when the movie comes out. We have access to it. All right. Is that the end
Anyway,
of the
those are the two
spoilers?
spoilers, but we can talk
Alright.
about other stuff in the trailer now.
Are you upset at all that she's not gonna get her like Miss Marvel outfit at all?
You mean like the black bathing suit?
Didn't they update that a little bit?
There's lots of different ones she's had over the year. The one I always knew her from was the black bathing suit
With
and
like
the
that
red
weird
sash.
little piece of fabric on her like hip. Yeah, with the mask.
I'm a little upset she doesn't have the sash because that's something that has like kind of stayed through with
Yeah.
each of her costumes. But maybe she'll get it at the end. Maybe it'll be like
Symbolism.
somebody's scarf or something that she decides to tie around her waist. But
I mean, I'm assuming there's meaning to it.
yeah, they'll
Like,
they'll
ooh,
put-
a scarf. This will help hide my hips.
Yeah,
How would you think about the visuals on Captain Marvel and her hair?
and her hair. I like the mohawk look.
Yeah.
I like that they incorporated it.
Do you see all the Dragon Ball Z memes?
Yeah,
They paired up with it.
yeah,
It looks pretty good.
yeah. It does.
Like I was a little skeptical on the effects because I thought it was gonna be like just like a power aura like around her and just hair just a little bit, but like it's majority hair. It
Yeah.
looks good.
It looks pretty cool. Yeah, and what about Nick Fury? He looks so good that I forget he's not a real person.
Yeah, wait. So is it not a real person? Is it not Sam Jackson and they just kind of like digitally de-aged him, or is it like legit a CGI character?
No, it's the DH thing. I was gonna make a joke about how he wasn't on set because of contract negotiations, but no, it really is just
Interesting.
yeah.
No, I liked it. There wasn't at any point in that trailer, maybe because I wasn't 100% looking for it, that like
Yeah,
I noticed anything weird about him.
it just looks good, like all around. Like you don't notice it,
Yeah.
which is pretty good.
So before this, and I guess it'd be Ant-Man and the Wasp would have been the last one, where I paid attention to all the trailers and all the behind the scenes stuff, and going into the movie kind of knowing a good chunk of it. I kind of miss going into movies like for like Avengers 3, like I watched 2 trailers and that was it. I didn't pay attention to any other news, any behind the scenes or anything else, like set picks,
Yeah,
and I stay away from forums. And like going in the movies blind, or kind of blind, it was kind of nice.
it was nice, but it was so much more work than
Oh yeah,
avoiding it.
Oh, yeah.
Like or not avoiding it. I mean.
kind of.
Yeah, it was so hard, especially the last 2 weeks when like some people had started to see it.
And like I'm just saying, like it's because of this podcast now. I have to go back into that. I'm gonna hear about all the news and watch
That's
all
right.
the trailers.
That's right.
That's okay. We'll figure out if I actually do like going in blind or not.
Yeah.
Or if I just
I don't mind either way. Like I like the joy for me is getting all these pieces of news and like trailers and stuff and trying to like make the movie in my head before I see it, and then watching the movie there is the joy of like how right I was.
yeah. Actually, I am excited though that it seems like from these trailers that they are breaking away from the cookie cutter origin story a little bit at least.
I think the movie. I'm gonna go on the limb here and speculate a little bit because the trailer opens with Nick Fury saying, "So the Skrulls are the bad guys, and the Krees are the good guys." I feel like the whole movie is going to be about. It's not that simple. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll see good Skrulls.
Doesn't she
but
say that?
I don't remember.
Oh,
But
probably not.
But I
watched
feel
it.
like the entire movie is going to be like you find out that the Kree are not such great people, and maybe that the Skrulls aren't all bad,
Yeah.
or something like that. That they're there just as refugees or something like that, and they've been hunted down.
I do like you see that like she's obviously trying to figure out her past. Like she's had her memory wiped, at least from what I've seen in the trailers. It probably is, but it seems like you're gonna go through her life, kind of in between the sequences in the movie. So you're gonna jump back into the past, jump forward back into the present, jump back again to the past, similar to another movie.
Yeah. Do we get into it now, or do you have any other thoughts?
Nope, I got nothing else.
I just wanted to say she has turquoise blood.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That threw me.
Why wouldn't she?
Well, I was wondering, is she human, or is it like the radiation changed her blood immediately? Or has she always been Kree?
It's actually what gives her costume that teal color.
She's always bleeding.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is why when she's at the end of the movie where she has that red costume, her blood is clearly back to red.
That makes a lot of sense, Victor.
Mhm.
I'm glad you explained that to me.
I am very informed about this.
Okay, well, that's it for the news. So we're gonna go into our topic for this week, which is what, Victor?
A Man of Steel.
Man
the
of
first
Steel.
movie in the DC cinematic universe.
That's right. Does that have a name yet? Because I heard that everyone was calling it the DC Extended Universe,
Oh, yeah, that's probably right.
but then apparently that was just
DCEU.
that was coined by like an article writer. It was not coined by Warner Brothers.
Well, what would you call the animated movie universe?
The animated movie universe.
Right. I guess that's probably why they had the extended universe.
I don't know, but we're gonna do another love it, hate it for
All
this
right,
one.
let me
We got a
check
coin here.
Oh, you got my coin.
Yeah. Do you want to flip it?
It's okay. You can do the honors since you
here
have
we
it.
go. So what is it? Heads you love it, tails I love it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, ready? Whoop. Well, that worked. Victor loves it.
Yay!
Wait. Sorry, I love it. The polar bears are the tails,
Are they?
even though they have two heads.
Oh.
So I have to love it. Hooray!
Oh, this is going to be awful.
Oh boy.
I was prepared coming into this, loving it.
Okay, do you want to go ahead, Victor?
You want to kind of just talk about the movie real quick?
Sure. Do you want to go over the plot?
Yeah, sure.
Hit me.
So this is the origin movie of Superman. Starts off on Krypton. You get actually a bit more history about Krypton than any other Superman movie that I can remember.
Yeah, there's like a 20-minute prologue at the beginning.
Is it 20 minutes? Oh, yeah,
Something like that.
yeah, it's long. You kind of see the conflict between Jor-El, Superman's dad, his family, and I guess would it be the council on? No, well, anyways, they introduce like a council on Krypton.
Yeah.
They introduce Zod and his army, and you find out that they're all opposing one another.
Yeah.
And oh shit, where am I going with this?
So Krypton is destroyed.
Yeah,
Just as you always remembered.
And then it jumps.
What's his name? Jor-El. Jor-El is played by Russell Crowe. He's Superman's father.
Mm-hmm.
He has the first natural birth of a Krypton baby with his
And I
wife.
don't remember that ever being a detail in that.
No, I don't think it ever was.
Which is kind of nice. It explains. It gives Zod a bit more of a background.
Yeah, and so they kind of add this wrinkle that like they're kind of like ants in the sense of like they're born with a specific purpose in mind, and
Yeah,
if
like
they
you're
don't,
genetically bred to do that job.
yeah, exactly. And anyway, so Jor-El, he's a climate
Scientist?
change guy.
Oh wow, they really tied this into like.
Yeah, it's all about
Current events.
environmentalism. Like, did you notice that like everyone else is using ships and he's flying around on a dragon because it doesn't use any
I just
fossil
assumed
fuels?
I just I just assumed that he was doing that because it's way more efficient. Plus, he's not fighting anyone.
Yeah, it's better for the environment as well.
That's
Anyway, so the planet's going to be destroyed because they've been mining the core, which sounds like a great idea.
yeah. Yeah, how stupid is that? Anyways, I'm not gonna. I'll go into my hates later.
So they're mining the core. So Jor-El's the only scientist on the planet who's like, "This is a bad idea. The
He's
planet's
probably the
going to
only
die."
scientist on the planet. Period.
Period. Yeah.
Come on.
He's also a better fighter than the guys who are
Not to be fighters.
bred to be fighters.
Just-
But anyway, I'm sorry. I keep getting into it. I love this movie, by the way. The planet's going to blow up. So he sends his only son,
His new
Kal-El,
natural born son.
sends him on a spaceship to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Superman then, or Cal, grows up. He lands on a farm, the Kent farm, and he is raised by Kevin Costner and Diane Lane. And then he goes through the existential crisis of whether he should be saving people or not. And then Zod returns 33 years later.
Convenient.
Yeah.
It's not convenient at all.
Well, he returns and he wants to rule Earth. So Superman has to stop him.
Because
At the end.
what was behind Krypton's birthing thing was a codex. A codex basically
Right.
held all the genetic code for Kryptonians. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So it was like.
So Jor-El took that and shipped it to Earth with his son, and that's the reason that Zod was chasing after him in the first place, Because like, wow, why else would you care about chasing after?
Actually, towards the beginning of the movie, Cal finds an old scout ship from Krypton, and that's where he finds his uniform. That's where he meets an artificial intelligence version of his dad, and it kind of explains the history of Krypton. And he accidentally sets off a homing signal, and that's what calls Zod to Earth.
Yeah, that's what helps him track him down.
Yeah, and so but you're right. They are, his initial goal is just to find the Codex, and so that Krypton can prosper.
But yeah, they land on Earth, and there's a
Violence
conflict.
ensues.
Yeah, conflict of, do we wipe out Earth in Zod's plan and I guess recreate Krypton and Kryptonians with the Codex, or do we save Earth and let the Kryptonians die off?
Yeah. Do you want to get into it?
Yeah.
Just throw the random thoughts out.
Did you notice at the beginning when they're launching ships off of Krypton that they are all penis shaped?
Yes, I
That
love
is a
that.
terrible design. I was watching this while I was doing a bit of work on the side.
Yeah.
'Cause I've seen the movie so many times. I don't know. I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
That's a terrible design. What? Why? Like, it looks like a dildo that like has a suction cup that you would stick. It has the balls. It's awful.
Yeah. I loved it though, Victor.
Yeah, I bet you did.
I thought it was a really cool design. All of Krypton was really interesting. I thought it was interesting that you would give scientists like heavy armor to wear while they're walking around, and everyone is just wearing, huge things of armor.
And how the heck does he know how to fight as well as he does? He's bred to be a scientist. He's decide
Because he's really smart, Victor. He's like
Right.
Sherlock Holmes, where he can just like see the fight before it happens, and so he
Telegraph
can
and
fight
plan
people
everything.
who are even people who are bred to be fighters. He can just beat them.
Also,
Especially when he's like going against like 4 people, like it's even easier for him.
well, at one point, oh wait, he does take out like 4 people.
Yeah, kills them all.
This movie doesn't do it nearly as bad, but I hate it when people with guns run towards the guy that they're fighting who doesn't have a gun.
Yeah, just shoot him.
Yeah.
Just pop him in the kneecap or
Yeah.
something. Like even if you're not trying to kill him, just shoot him in the foot.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
shoot
don't
shoot at the ground so they're like, whoa, okay.
And then shoot his hands when his hands are up.
Yeah.
Well, at one point, after Kal-El's ship finally launches and they're all staring up at it, Zod has been taken down. He's on the ground, and
Is that the end of the movie?
No, that's the beginning of the movie.
Oh, well, so it's his
And
little his escape
like Jor-El has the gun in his hand, like he was aiming it at Zod. It's like, wow, that ship is very interesting and very distracting. I'm not going to shoot the guy that was trying to murder me and my family.
Yeah. And then he just stabs him. Zod just stabs him.
Yeah,
I loved that.
yeah.
Actually, I didn't mind. I didn't mind either way. Want to hear something I legitimately loved, though?
How Russell Crowe took all his skills from the Gladiator and transferred it into his Kryptonian character.
Actually, well, I love the casting all around in this
Yeah.
movie. Like everybody is great.
Who's the guy that played Zod?
Michael Shannon.
That's it.
Yeah.
I knew Shannon. I wasn't sure if it was his first
always-
name or his last name.
He always plays like creepy guys.
He is a little creepy.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing I hate about his character, his hair. Like, I get
His
it.
Caesar
It's-
cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. He also had the little chin
Chin thing I liked.
thing.
But like the haircut, just I couldn't stop looking at it.
Yeah.
It was really distracting.
I liked it. I legitimately
I just kept
liked
thinking,
it fine.
like-
I got what they were going for.
I just kept thinking that like he just hasn't showered or bathed in like days, and he needed a haircut, so he just popped a bowl on his head, took some scissors, and just kind of traced it.
Well, he was bred to fight, not to cut hair. So
Well, you know what? They should have bred some hairdressers on that planet.
yeah, but you know what I loved, Victor? I loved that they jammed so much in the prologue, so much unnecessary information, just to like really pad out the world that was gonna blow up in a few minutes. I just found that well worth the time that they spent on it.
Yeah.
It's important to know everybody's backstory before they show up. Anyway, so we flash forward to Cal crash lands on Earth, and then we cut forward again, and Cal, now Clark, is on a fishing boat.
Actually,
He's
sorry.
in the was.
I just looked at my notes. There was
You have more notes about the prologue? Might as well. It's like 20 minutes long. I mean, I loved how long it was.
Oh, I hated it. There was too much unnecessary. I'm trying to be sarcastic here, but that's actually like a legit complaint. There's a lot going on. I feel like they could have condensed it and it would have been fine. But there was one line that triggered me a little bit. How Jor-El said that there are only two genders.
Whoa, Victor.
No.
You know what I loved about that scene is when he's going for the codex. I love that they've put it in a place where there's no doors for it. Like it's just you have to swim 80 feet underwater in order to get it.
Well, everything's operated by machines, right? Why would you?
If only like there was some way that someone could go in and like use like a numpad or something like that.
There isn't.
But I mean, I love that they didn't do that. I love that it was a different way to do it. Like it was, you were expecting, him just to go in and like take it out of a vault, but then he's like, no, I have to swim down this pit.
And I also hated that he had to strip down to reveal that he also has a suit similar to Superman's, but in a darker and desaturated tone.
Yeah. Anyway, so we cut forward and now Clark, who is Kal-El, grown up. He is on a fishing boat, Deadliest Catch. He was on the Deadliest Catch boat.
Yeah, it kind of jumps forward.
It jumps all over the place.
Yeah, I hated how it does all these jumps in between like timelines. Not timelines, but like jumps forward and back between like his adulthood, childhood, teenage years.
I legitimately didn't mind it. But at the beginning, I loved how frequent they were, because it was like you would.
Being sarcastic anymore.
No, I actually did love it, but but at the beginning, it's like there's so much of it at the beginning. Like you would go through a flashback, and then he would be back on screen, 33 years old for about 30 seconds, and then they go into another flashback. I loved Victor. I love that a lot.
Well, no,
I'm sick of. I only need to see 30 seconds of old Clark.
Well, I mean, he was on the ship, and then he went on to the oil rig, right? So it was an oil rig that was on fire and collapsing. So then he sees it from the shipping boat that was, I guess, on its way there to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Or wait, no. No, I don't think they were. Were they? Doesn't matter.
They were. It was a distress signal. They were just out fishing, and then they got called for it. And they're like, "Well, we can't save anyone. Don't bother."
Nobody would say that.
Well, they might.
Yeah, probably, actually.
If it was a fire, yeah, probably.
Yeah. But, yeah, you see him save a bunch of people, hold off a collapsing tower on said oil rig so that a helicopter that had
He managed to take his
survivors.
shirt off, I noticed, which I loved. That guy works out.
Do you think they did that?
You
to
think he
show
worked
off?
out for this?
No, that's how he always looks.
Sorry, go ahead.
Do you think they... No, they must... Yeah, they must have took a shot. It's like, all right, we got to show off how jacked this guy is.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah, everyone's going to think it's padding
Mm-hmm.
in the suit.
Yeah, and then he's
But
got to go on Twitter and make some big deal out of it.
He was hairy, and he was jacked.
And the hair was on fire.
The hair was
none
on
of
fire.
it was burning off.
No, he's like the burning bush, which was the first of many Jesus metaphors in this movie.
Okay, I was gonna ask.
By the way, 33, that was the year that Jesus died. So that was like the year that he became the Messiah.
Oh, so are you saying 33 is the year that Clark dies and Superman comes to life?
Where were we? So there's a flashback of Clark saving a bunch of kids, and I thought it was actually kind of cool where he, like, there's a tire pops while they're on a school trip or something, and the bus driver loses control and flies off into the river, like they're on an overpass or bridge.
Yeah, they
or
drop
whatever.
off the bridge and they land in the river.
And they sink below the water, and everyone's like, "Oh no, we're drowning!"
Yeah, a bunch
And
of
then
kids
you're just like, "Oh
suffocating.
no, all these kids just died."
Mm-hmm.
But then Clark
Bus just
pushes
rolls
the
up.
bus out,
Rolls up on the bank.
and he just saves everybody.
Yeah.
And
But then the entire bus, everyone on the bus sees that Clark had pushed them out.
yeah,
but it looked like-
some of them at least, yeah.
Yeah. And that causes a lot of issues with keeping that whole Kryptonian thing a secret.
Well, because this leads to one of the things I absolutely loved about this movie was, is it George Kent? We'll just call him Pa Kent. I can't remember his first name. John Kent, maybe. I don't know. His philosophy is that people are going to hate him for how perfect he is, like because he is he is the answer to
Are we alone?
Are we alone in the universe is what they say. And so he hypothesizes that they're going to hate him for it.
Yeah.
And so there's even a point where young Clark says, well, was I supposed to let all those kids die? And he's just like,
Maybe.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. And
Nobody cares.
and I just love how convicted he is in his beliefs, that he's like willing to let children die so that nobody knows that Clark is an alien. And that was the thing too. I love how serious the whole movie is, because like comic books are inherently ridiculous, and I think when you do a movie, you need to take the source material extremely seriously and never kind of have like a wink and a nudge to it. Like you need, like, nobody, I think it's perfect that nobody cracks a joke until the last 5 minutes of the movie.
No,
like there's never a light moment.
Jokes here and there.
It's all very serious, and I know it just sets the mood, you know, and like it's just.
Would you say it does the character injustice?
That's the name of a comic book.
You refer to the comic book, not the video game.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a very serious movie. It's very dour, and which I think works perfectly with Superman, because he's so hopeful in the comics, and I think it's like a nice deconstruction of the character. You just take someone who represents something and purposely misunderstand it so that you can tell the story you want to tell with them, and instead of respecting what the character actually is.
See, I'm trying to hate on these points that you're bringing up, but like I actually, it's hard. You're making it really. This is actually really difficult for me because I like a lot of the things that you brought up. I mean, I like that. It's a more
Really, because I love them, Victor.
I can't hate on this movie. I'm not. I mean, I can, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of points that I do like.
Okay.
Like the whole questioning of his morals. Like, do I let these kids die and hide my secret? Do I be selfish? Or do I risk that exposure and, I guess, saving these kids and saving the bullies that are, I guess, ruining his days?
But I just don't think that there is enough reason for that. Like, I don't know. Maybe to me, it's just that's just my point of view, where that the ends justify the means. Like,
I will say, though, I like it, but I hate how it was executed. Like, I like that they had that aspect in there, but you need balance. You can't be so dark and negative and gloomy throughout the entire story for a character that's supposed to be so hopeful. And there needs to be some kind of something else to offset that, whether it's him, I guess, improving someone's life, like along the way,
and
kind of balance that out.
The thing I really love about this is that, like, you have all these flashbacks that are saying, like, don't step out in the limelight, don't help people because it's just going to cause trouble. But by this point, we've already seen, by the time they have this conversation, we've seen Clark as an adult save people.
Yeah, it kind of justifies it too, because it's like, well, why isn't he Superman that we know? Because Superman is a very well-known character. Everybody knows who Superman is, except for maybe like people who were born yesterday. Like, people know that he's a superhero, that he stands for good and justice. But why is he saving people in secret? Like, why is he not in his costume? Like, obviously it's an origin story, but like, why is he so kind of like hush hush about it?
Well,
and then you kind of learn about that through the flashbacks, which I hate. Terrible, terrible decision.
Well, something I loved is there's one moment where he is working as a busboy, I think, at like kind of like a miner's bar. By the way, this is in Canada, by the way, because I recognize the military uniforms, and also they said something about the U.S. military coming up to help out, because this is right before Clark finds the scout ship that we talked about earlier, and
is it still like him? I don't even know. Like, what would you like, discovering himself?
I don't know.
Journey?
Is he like, he's just kind of wandering? He's hitchhiking and he's helping people here and there. But anyway, there's an altercation in a bar. There's some guy who just arrives, by the way, so it's not like he's mostly drunk or anything. He's just a scumbag. Really fits for Canada, by the way.
Yep, 100% Canadian.
He just starts
harassing like a waitress.
Yeah, harassing the waitress, he's
Clark,
smacking her
like,
butt and
steps
stuff
in.
like that.
Yeah.
And so Clark comes up to him and is like, "Don't do that." And the guy just tries to threaten him, and then so Clark has that moment where he's like, well, I can't do anything to this guy because I will destroy him if I do anything. Like, there's even a point where the guy does like a full body push against him, and Clark just stands still. I actually legitimately love this moment.
Right? It's so awesome.
I like this moment.
Well, it shows like how strong he could be.
Well, here's the thing too. I like this scene a lot, but they ruin it with the ending. So what happens is Clark does nothing. The guy even throws a beer in his face and dumps it all over him and stuff. And Clark just walks away.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. But then you go outside and he has mutilated this guy's truck. He was like a log puller or something. So he's like taken huge pine tree logs and just shoved it through the cabin of the truck and like just destroyed his
Just
truck.
skewers it.
Yeah.
I hated that.
Which is not Superman at all. Mm-hmm. But I loved it because it's new. It's not something I was expecting.
Because it's more for the audience, not necessarily for the character. Like it's more of a device to satisfy the audience, not necessarily to grow the character.
Yeah,
and
that's why I loved it, Victor.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was not
terrible.
true to the character, but it helped the audience feel good.
I'm trying not to sound sarcastic with that, but
oh, good. I am. I'm trying to.
No, that was kind of like a 1 step forward, 2 steps back for the character. But yeah.
Do you want to keep talking about Pa Kent while we're talking about him, or do you want to just keep going forward with the plot?
Well, I mean, there's not much to say. Like it.
Well, there's the Twister scene we can talk about.
Yeah, like he goes like there was a tornado touches down.
Well, they're out in the highway. Yeah.
And they all run for cover under this bridge, and Pa Kent goes to save some woman, hands off a child to Clark so that he can kind of run ahead. But then they remember, oh shit, the family dog's in the car, so he goes back, and in the process of rescuing the dog, he injures his foot.
Yeah.
Dog gets away fine. PETA. There you go. No dogs were injured in this. Probably. And Clark goes to save him, which, I don't know, I think he could have done it, which is, I don't know, I hated it, but I understand why they did this. But Pa Kent basically says, don't save me, let me die, don't reveal yourself. And
I just love, though, that they leave that up in the air, because it just leaves the audience going,
no, I think he came down.
But why, though? Like, I understand you have your beliefs, but is this really a cause worth dying for?
But maybe it is. To him, maybe it is. Maybe his son.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what I liked about it.
Yeah. Yeah, terrible. Terrible.
Oh, man. Okay, so from there, we meet Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Played by Amy Adams.
Who is a reporter who apparently gets herself into a lot of trouble frequently.
Yeah, it's almost like they wanted more of Lois, so they purposely put her in scenes that a reporter had no business being in. Mm-hmm. And so, like, they really love the character. And you know what? I did too. I like Amy Adams. That's not sarcastic. I like Amy Adams.
I also like Amy Adams.
And
I forgot she was in this. Like, I forgot that's who played Lois Lane.
She goes up to the Antarctic. And I love how...
You mean down to the Antarctic?
No, because it's in Canada, remember? Because the last scene was Canadian military.
Damn it.
And that's the other thing was I like that the filmmakers understood the cooperation that countries have. Like, so if Canada was to find an unidentified object in the snow, of course the United States would show up and help them dig it out, right? That wouldn't be their claim.
No, why would it? We don't have
just like the
tools for that.
Like if Switzerland found one, we would be over there in a minute, to help dig it out.
Because they're cold there and we're cold here. We're basically brothers.
Yeah, that's
cold
right.
brothers. Yeah.
So she arrives to report on this.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. So we found an unidentified object. You think the military is gonna 100%? Yo,
let's call the Daily Bugle.
Yeah.
And get a story.
Bring on down the newspaper. We definitely want to publish this publicly.
Yeah. But anyway, so she shows up and they put her in this cabin and it's like, okay,
It's
you can stay.
Shed. It's not even a cabin.
Well, yeah, there's a cot in it and a bucket for her to pee in. And they're like, hey, you have to stay here because it gets below -40 at night.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. And I just love the balls on her. Like, because the next scene, she's out taking pictures out of the cabin.
No, not pictures. She took one picture. And it was the only picture that she needed to advance the plot. I mean, the movie makers need to advance the plot.
But I just love, though, that she's like, she didn't even dress more warmly. Like, she still had her hood down. Mm-hmm. She had a toque on, but didn't cover her face or anything like that. I don't know if you guys you listeners, I've been in -40 weather, but like it's hard to breathe. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's
how
awful.
cold it is. Like your lungs can freeze if you're not careful.
We had a snowstorm that canceled school one time, and I think it was like minus 41, 42, and walked home in that. Walked home 30 minutes in that.
Victor almost died when he was in school.
My fingers were pretty blue by the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never lived that far up north that it happens consistently.
East
but,
Coast.
Yeah, maritime effect.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Stupid decisions of a.
but anyway, I love that. I love that she's just so ballsy and she's just on fire for reporting that she can just take -40 weather.
Well, I mean, redheads, right?
And I love that her camera worked in that that cold of weather.
Well, I think it would.
You think so?
I think it would.
Okay, I'll give you that.
I'd
I was
like to think
questioning it.
would. Yeah. Yeah, I hated the fact that she knew exactly where to look because that one picture that she took caught Clark
Yeah.
walking up. Oh, so after he saves the people on the oil rig, he steals a bunch of clothes. Oh, wait, no, wait. Shit, I'm trying to think. After the bar, I guess because there were a bunch of military guys in the bar, and they hear about some military event going on with they found something in the ice.
Yeah.
Which I also hated. What kind of military guy just talks about that kind of stuff?
That's probably classified, right?
Yeah, just like in the middle of the bar.
Yeah, but it's Canada.
But it goes, that's how it goes from that to that. Anyways, finds a scout ship. He somehow makes it through, I'm assuming with his heat vision, and Lois somehow manages to follow his tracks around this cliff and ends up in the ship with him. So he gets a suit in this ship and made no sense. Why? So it's a scout ship. It's a random scout ship. Mm-hmm. Why does it have his family's suit with the symbol of hope in it?
You know what? I don't know, Victor, but I wonder if there's an explanation like the ship just manufactured it.
Because he has that.
Because he plugs in the key that he was given on his ship when he arrived at the Kent farm, and it brings up an artificial intelligence version of his dad, Kal-El, or Jor-El, and he just explains Krypton to him, and he explains who he is and everything he needs to know, and then he gives him a suit at the end, and he just says, "Hey, test your abilities, always push yourself."
And yeah, so we spend like what, maybe 5-10 minutes just watching him learn his powers.
Yeah, but he only does
Just flying, really.
yeah, he only does flying, and he only has like he doesn't have all the powers he has in the comics.
No cold breath.
He doesn't have the freeze breath was the one I missed, but he has heat vision. He's super strong, and he can fly. Anyway, so he tests his powers, and then Lois has decided she's gonna follow him. She's gonna try to figure out his story. So she tracks the story back from the ship landing that she found him at, and just kind of goes through and here's all these good Samaritan stories.
Yeah. Well, they're all like events that you hear, like we saw in the flashbacks, like with the bar, the guys in the shipping,
Yeah,
the fishing boat,
yeah,
the oil rig, and
Yeah.
the bus. The bus was like the last one.
yeah. And
almost works
she
in reverse
manages
order.
to track him down to Kent Farm, and so she finds him, and she's like, "Hey, someone needs to tell your story." And he's like, "Well, what if I don't want my story told?" And she's like, "Well, it's gonna get out eventually." And
My
so-
dad died.
Yeah, and then that's when the flashback with the twister happens.
Yeah, and then she decides to not because of that.
Yeah,
She goes back and-
squashes the story,
Yeah.
and then Zod shows up. That's when he shows up.
Yeah. What do you think about Zod and his crewmen?
His crewman, like
Like the guy on the ship that
Fiora, was that the girl, the
Yeah.
lieutenant?
Fiora, and the other guy that was apparently that had like a name that was like an actual character that was fleshed out in the comics. That I don't. That was
I don't
just
know.
given like a.
I always called him Non because in the Superman 2 movie, like the Christopher Reeve one, it was Non, and I don't
That's a
think it was
terrible name.
I don't think it was Fiora. That was the other one. I think I can't remember what the girl's name was. No, there was 2 lackeys that were with Zod in the Superman 2 movie.
I actually hated most of the people on that crew, except
Yeah?
for like Fiora, because they don't seem like good people. Like you'd think, like,
Well, they were criminals. They were war criminals.
oh right, because they all came from the prison.
The Phantom Zone, yeah.
Right.
They were
okay.
they were the ones shot up in those dildos.
I keep thinking they're just people that.
No, they never found anyone, as Zod later explains. They went to all these different outposts. over the years while because the destruction of Krypton. So basically, Zod loses in the prologue, and he's put in the dildos, as Victor so eloquently put it, and they're sent into the Phantom Zone where they're going to be frozen.
And then almost immediately after that scene, Krypton blows up.
Krypton blows up, and the explosion causes them to fall out of the Phantom Zone. And anyway, Zod arrives, and he sends a message to the entire Earth and says, "Listen, there's somebody on your planet who has been here for a while. He's pretending to be one of you. He's one of us, and we want him. So give him to us, or there will be consequences." Did he give him an hour or something like that?
24 hours.
24 hours?
Yeah.
Okay. So then Superman kind of has like a existential crisis of like, well, what's really good? Do I hide? Because these guys don't seem like they're,
Yeah.
Something I loved about that was that nobody knows who Superman is. So like, imagine it in like the real world, which is what I think Zack Snyder's intention was.
Yeah.
Imagine if just like aliens show up and they're like, "Hey, one of you is here and he's hiding and we want him." Because then everybody is like, "Yeah, take him. We don't want him."
Yeah.
But like, say if he was like Superman and like flying around saving people all the time, then like there's some conflict there, which is something I don't like in my movies.
Yeah.
And because then there's like all these camps of people who are like, "But he's Superman. He saved my kids when my car caught on fire or whatever." Or like, my dad had a heart attack and he flew him straight to the hospital, like, or whatever. But because nobody knows him, there's no conflict. So I mean, it's just an internal conflict with Clark, which I loved because like I because I want to relate to him and only him.
I'm just trying to like go. Well, what happened next?
They go to him. Superman turns himself in.
Yeah.
And he actually, a legitimately cool moment is he holds his hands in handcuffs, and there's one point where he just stands up and opens his arms.
I hated that when they were interrogating him. He introduced himself to the military to basically update them. It's like, "Hey, this is who I am. I don't know if I can trust this General Zod guy, but I'll hand myself over willingly." And in that interrogation scene, they have him cuffed, and they're being interrogated by Lois Lane for some reason.
Yeah, and then that's when Zod shows up to pick him up, and that's when we first meet Fiora. And I like that for no reason whatsoever. They're just like, "We also want Lois Lane."
Yeah, they never explained that.
Because I love Lois Lane, and I want her in every scene. And so, I mean, she had to be there. She needed to be on the ship to help Clark escape. So, I mean, that was probably the best way to get her on there. So
also,
I really love that. Yeah, I really love that she was just kind of
what I hated?
in. What's that?
How they... All right, just between the sarcasm and me actually hating on it, it seems like we're just hating on this movie.
What? No.
Like, that was the only way for them to, I guess, tell us, the audience, how to defeat Zod by telling Lois Lane through Jor-El's AI.
Which was what? Oh, the
Flying his
ship into
baby
another ship, and it would create a mini black hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, how convenient. That black hole only lasts just long enough to get rid of that ship.
Yeah.
And any other evidence that the humans could get their hands on.
Yeah. I'm getting ahead because one of the ships that crashes into the other ship, but isn't like one of the main plots in Batman v Superman and Justice League? Isn't there a leftover Krypton ship?
That is the scout ship.
But it's in the middle of Metropolis where there was the crash, right?
Wait, what? Oh, yeah. What the dick?
I don't know. Okay. But we can't fault that movie for movies that came after it.
Right.
So, anyway, that was just a random thought I just
that
had.
Movie and had all that knowledge going into that movie.
Anyway, so there's a scene on the ship. Zod explains his plan to Clark, and then they escape.
Yeah.
And Clark fights Fiora and we'll call him Non in Smallville in the middle of
Sears
IHOP.
Uh-huh. You know what I hated?
What's that?
That they decided to show every character that he's interacted with.
You mean like every time he got thrown through a building, he would meet a child from his past?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
No, I don't really care either way, one way or the other.
I like that because it kind of brought things together.
Because it is a Smallville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, you know what I hated? When they're on the ship, when they're escaping.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a general, like a actual.
You hate it?
Yeah, I actually hate this. So Jor-El basically tells her where guys are coming from. Tells her to pick up a gun. Tells her like where to aim. But she gets like 3 headshots in a row.
She's used to point and clicking with a camera.
Yeah, but
It's the same thing, Victor.
yes, you're right.
It's the same thing. It's
You're right.
exactly the same thing. I just don't understand why you would have a problem with that.
And
So-
I hated that on that scout ship when Superman's exploring it for the first time, there was an open casket that was never explained.
Yeah, I think that was to be an Easter egg. Like, a lot of people thought that would be... Oh, I can't remember Supergirl's real name. Kara L?
Yeah.
Kara L?
No, she's not. Couldn't be Elle. She's, from a different
She's her
family.
cousin, though, right?
But
They-
is she from a different family?
I don't think
never
so.
mind.
Anyway,
That doesn't fucking make sense either. She's supposed to come after him.
but that's the whole thing, is that she gets caught in the Phantom Zone or whatever, so she shows up late after he's a man.
Yeah.
That's how they usually do it. Anyway, I actually... Something I really liked about this movie is that they didn't go over the top planning the next movie. You know how you watch like a cinematic universe movie and then it's like everything is just set up for the next movie?
Yeah.
Like this, there's little Easter eggs here and there. I think there's brands, like brand logos for LexCorp and Wayne Enterprises. And then, of course, there's that one that if you're a fan, that maybe you could put some dots together and be like, oh, maybe that's Supergirl. But I like that they don't hit you over the head and be like next time we're going to Gotham or whatever. Or
Yeah.
You
Or like
know.
just hint at a bunch of other characters.
yeah, but that's something I actually really liked.
What do you think about the fight that ensues between Superman and the rest of, I guess, Fiora and Non is the only guys that he really fights?
Well, Victor, I loved it. Legitimately, it was fine. I have a question for you, though. How do those suits work that they have?
I'm assuming it keeps the
It keeps the atmosphere out, right?
atmosphere in any like it's a
Radiate.
spacesuit.
So they wouldn't be getting any vitamin D from the sun.
Probably not.
So I just don't understand why they're super powered, like why they can jump and fly and punch people as hard as they can, but as soon as their helmet gets broken, that's when they get the X-ray vision and they can't breathe. And
Maybe it's like it's.
I don't understand why they get selective powers until that's their Achilles heel is their helmet.
I was gonna say maybe it's because the suit shields them from it, but then yeah,
Like, why would they?
one of the powers. So they get a bunch of powers, but then they don't.
Yeah, they only get the ones that benefit them until it's a hindrance. I just didn't. I was trying to think of that because I was like, well, no, because I thought the exact same thing. I was like, well, maybe it shields, and I was like, no, because like Clark had the X-ray vision and stuff like that. It wasn't like he developed it later
Yeah.
or whatever. But like,
You know what I legitimately hated? Actually, most of the fight, the set pieces that the fight had taken place on, it reminded me of, you know, when you're a kid and you have like 2 action figures and they're fighting, and it's like, oh, I want to punch him to the moon. Oh, and then I'm going to fly back down to Earth, and we're going to crash onto this oil rig or this gas canister, and it's going to make a huge explosion.
yeah.
It's purely for like cinematic stuff.
And I loved that Clark is so invested in winning the fight that he just slams through buildings and stuff like that. He doesn't really think about the people who would be in there. And like, so every time that he's hitting someone, he's like, you know what would be the best way to hurt them is if I threw them through this Denny's or
Yeah, it's
IHOP
terrible.
or whatever.
Like, he knows how strong he is. He knows how strong they are. Bullets don't do anything. Maybe if I put his head into this brick wall and fly him through the building, along the building,
Yeah.
with all his glass, it'll do something.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
What do you think that feels? Just like being held and thrown through these buildings.
I don't know.
Why
Do you want to
doesn't-
try it?
Yeah,
You
kind
want
of.
to just take a break right now and try it?
But it's like they shoot missiles at him. It's like they brush it off like nothing.
Yeah.
Like a building is significantly less powerful than a rocket, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you would think. But someone's pushing him through it. It's not just the fact that
I guess maybe you're taking into account
the
speed.
idea is your velocity is so fast that you're slamming through it, right? So anyway, he fights the 2 lackeys. He wins. They end up leaving because one of them, their helmet gets cracked,
Messed up.
and then so she starts seeing X-ray vision, having a hard time breathing.
her off.
And then so Zod sets up the world engine. So they're going to change Earth's atmosphere into Krypton's atmosphere.
Yeah.
And
Makes no sense to me. That's so stupid. Like, you clearly have wicked powers in this atmosphere. Leave it.
you know, why wouldn't you just be a god?
Yeah.
Like,
Just have a bunch of gods.
instead of being equal to everyone, but you know, who knows?
Yeah.
And then they enact the plan where Lois and a few military guys, they take the ship that Clark landed in when he was a baby, and they're going to ram it into Zod's ship and create a black hole.
Yeah.
Over
While
Metropolis.
Superman goes to the other side of the world and takes out the other world engine.
That's right.
And this is where my eyes glossed over a little bit because I don't remember any of that. I saw that he fought it for a bit, and there were these weird self-defense tentacles that came out.
Yeah.
Why? Like, where would you ever take that world engine? It's like, you know what? This thing definitely needs some defense. Let's give it these weird tentacles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a terrible scene. Clearly, just like, we need something to keep Superman distracted so that we can enact this cool plan to shoot a ship into another ship.
The way that it works is that there's a world engine on the one side of the planet, and then on the exact opposite side of the planet is Zod's ship, and they're sending some sort of
Gravity
magnetic
wave.
polarities.
Yeah.
And it's basically like a big dubstep machine.
Yeah.
And it's demolishing Metropolis, like flattening.
Yeah.
Like it's not that buildings do fall over, but it's like
Crushing,
pancakes.
like radius of the gravity thing, like expands slowly. Every time it goes, it pulses, it grows.
Yeah, it goes like another 5 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they manage to destroy that.
Yeah.
And Clark shows up. So then we find out that Zod had survived.
Yeah. And then he shows off that he's mastered the powers because he was bred as a warrior
That's right.
and has taken significantly less time to master his new abilities compared to Clark.
Mm-hmm.
And they fight for a bit. Things get blown up.
Yeah, they
People die,
destroy lots
probably.
of buildings.
Yeah. It ends up in, what was it, Central Station? I want to say that's what the...
Yeah, some sort of a Grand Central Station.
Yeah. He basically says, you like these people so much? Then... I don't even remember that. I kind of got tired of this movie. He basically starts lasering people, or he attempts to.
Yeah.
But Superman gets a hold of his head and tries to stop him. And you can see he's considering, do I kill him or do I let these people die?
Yeah.
And he kills him.
He kills him. He snaps
Kills
his
him
neck.
Good.
Yeah. And that's basically the end of it. There's a few wrap-up scenes. Clark ends up going to work for the Daily Bugle because he thought... actually, I legitimately loved his reasoning for it, was that like he needed a reason. He needed an occupation where no one's going to think twice when he wants to run into danger.
Yeah.
And where he's constantly investigating things and stuff.
And plus, you're in the city that's attacked most.
Yeah. But anyway, I loved this movie, Victor, in conclusion.
Oh, it was terrible.
So that was Love It, Hate It. Do you want to talk about how you really felt about the movie for a few minutes?
I really liked the movie.
Yeah?
Yeah, like, not considering all the movies that's come after it since. But, I don't know, there's definitely flaws, but I definitely do like how they told the story. Like, I like how... Like, the way it was put together almost seemed like you were listening to or watching a story, like a myth of a character or a legend of a character
Oh, okay.
in their life. So it's not just like your typical cookie-cutter origin story, but...
Yeah, it's told linearly. Whatever. That You know what I meant.
Yeah. There's got to be a better way to, like, describe that. But, like...
Yeah, non-linearly.
No, but I mean, like, you know, you hear, like, stories of, like, Zeus or, like, Hercules.
Oh, like-
It's just, like, little stories here and there, but it's never, like, his life story from beginning to end, like a biography.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be honest, because I remember hating this movie, and watching it again this week, I didn't hate it as much as I remembered.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
But there's a lot of problems with it. And basically, I think there's 3 main problems with it, is that I kind of touched on it a little bit sarcastically, is that it takes itself very seriously. And I just didn't enjoy that, because that's not Superman, and that's not comic book characters for the most part. Like Batman, you can kind of get away with leaning into a little bit more serious tone.
And dark and gloomy.
But at the end of the day, it's a guy who dresses up as a bat and jumps off buildings. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of need some suspension of disbelief there. Like, you need to help the audience along. And Superman, his personality does not fit the tone that they did with this movie. Like,
Well, like I said, like I'm okay with that. I actually liked that little bit of a gloom and doom. But again, you need a bit of balance, because if it's just gloom and doom all the time, you kind of lose the whole aspect of that character.
Yes, yeah, and then I mentioned that there's not a single joke until towards the end of the movie. The one girl's like, he's kind of hot.
Yeah.
Everything else is very, very serious. It's also not really the movie's fault in a way. Like, if you look at when it came out in 2013. So it's after the Dark Knight trilogy has ended, and that was very successful for Warner Brothers, and it's after the Avengers has come out for Marvel.
So you think they would have taken some cues from that?
I think it was the exact opposite. The thought was like, well, Marvel's doing that, we're going to differentiate from them and go our own way.
But
And
the
so
Dark Knight did that. Maybe we should have something else. Something in between.
well, yeah, and that's what I mean though is like The Dark Knight Rises, it still kind of takes itself a little bit too seriously, and it kind of has the same flaws. Like, because when you think about it, like there's a guy in a mask just wandering around Gotham with a nuclear bomb. And it's I don't know, it's a little ridiculous, but
But you know he's not ridiculous?
what's that?
He's not wearing hockey pads.
Yeah, and I think that's part of its detriment as well, is like if you're so serious, because then the audience is like, okay, you want me to take this seriously, but you didn't think through this part.
Mm-hmm.
And then so it's almost easier to nitpick because you're not so easy to forgive them for their small mistakes.
Yeah.
Like their more ridiculous world stuff that you would forget about in like a movie like Ant-Man or something like that. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just like, well, whatever. It's just Ant-Man. Who cares? It's a fun movie. The other one that that really bothered me is a lot of the stuff is very contrived, especially Lois's Lane.
Lois's Lane.
Lois
What about
Lane's
her
involvement. Especially Lois Lane's involvement in the movie. Most scenes with her, I think they wrote her in and then they were trying to like find the connective tissue of like, well, why is she in there? Like, and then so then you have scenes where Fiora just walks up to her and it's like, Zod also wants her to come in. And then no one asked why because,
Well, they don't even say why. They don't even like show why.
yeah, they're just like,
Oh, sorry, they do
yeah,
show why. But
sure,
it's-
yeah, take her. That's fine.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or like, why is Lois on the ship at the end?
Because Jor-El wants her here.
I mean, like
Obviously.
she couldn't explain that to someone else, and it's also like she's there, and then she just happens to arrive in Grand Central Station the moment after Superman snaps Zod's neck,
Yeah.
and so she's there to see him have his lowest moment. It's the same thing with Pa Kent. Like it's fine if you want to kill him off for his beliefs or whatever, but the way they did it, it just seemed like there's too many ways for that situation to have resolved positively where nobody died. And so it's just like it comes off as stupid rather than the intent they had, which is probably poignant and like, whoa, that was like, I can't believe he just died.
I get the feeling they were trying to set this up so that Superman, because like at one point, I guess after this, they heard all the complaints about Superman being too dark, so they tried to tone it, like bring it up a bit more cheerful in the later movies. But I get the feeling that they intended for it to be dark, 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 and then come Justice League, okay, now we're gonna get the Superman that we expected.
I don't know if that's true though. Because I have the feeling that Zack Snyder does not understand what makes Superman Superman.
That's also, that could be another thing as well. Yeah.
Because he missed the point. Like Superman's kind of supposed to be silly. Like he's supposed to be almost annoyingly good.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy who corrects your grammar and tells you not to lie and stuff like that.
Like Cap,
Yeah.
especially in those videos that those like school kids get.
Yeah, exactly. Like that would, yeah, the Superman could easily be doing those PSAs. But and I think I think his favorite comic books with Superman in them were ones that are deconstructions of Superman.
Like where he loses his powers or like a chunk of it where he's just been that T-shirt, and he's it gets pretty dark. I don't know if you read those comics.
I don't think I've read that one specifically, but like the one I'm thinking of is like The Dark Knight Rises. Or
Oh,
The Dark Knight Returns, I should
Yeah.
say. That one, Frank Miller purposely pushes Superman to the point where he is almost a fascist because he is so for what the government is. He's so American. And I think Zack Snyder took the wrong message from that. And
Well, Josh, there's not a lot of Superman comics to pull from. Okay,
it's not like he was the first one and it was invented in the 30s or whatever.
yeah, like that's only what 80 years of material. You can't expect him to find iconic Superman vision
Yeah.
from that. That's not.
And
that's
I mean-
not possible.
And that's kind of my problem too, is that like some people would be like, well, it is a deconstruction, but and Zack Snyder himself, I think, said at one point, this is not your daddy Superman. But at the same time, like the way he plays it is like he wants you to know that Superman is the person you think he is, but at the same time add these layers that contradict that.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my complaint about like Spider-Man, like the Sony Spider-Man movies, like especially the Amazing ones. Like you have all this wicked material to pull from. You don't have to change it up just because you can. Like just pull from what people like and make a movie about it. Because clearly people like that after seeing like the Avengers, like seeing a comic accurate version
Yeah.
of like Captain America and like Iron Man.
Yeah. But anyway, those were like my main grievances with it, was that he just didn't really understand the character. And I think it's interesting, like his visual style really works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually one thing that I really enjoy about the movie is that like, you know that YouTube channel, every scene a painting?
Yes.
I thought about that channel a lot
Mm-hmm.
watching this movie. Like if you paused a scene, like it looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one scene that could look bad.
Yeah, and I think that's also like one of his hindrances too, though, is that like because he has all these great ideas for visuals, that sometimes it's again it becomes contrived because it's like, oh, we have this great image of like Superman fighting this like tentacle monster or whatever, and it's like, well, we'll make the world engine have tentacles then.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
you're basing the plot around the visuals, not necessarily the other way around.
and I mean, I guess that's part of making a big blockbuster movie, but at the same time, like it shouldn't be your only rule of
Busted a
thumb.
few more than just a block.
Yeah.
A bit more than just, damn it. Ruined it.
I'm leaving that in. The one last thing I wanted to say was just about Pa Kent dying, and because he's not dead in the comics, that they got his death from that he died in the first Superman movie.
Yeah, heart attack, right?
He dies from a heart attack, and not that I'm saying that they need to copy what the Richard Donner movie did,
Yeah.
because why would I need to see it if they're just going to copy it? But the point of Pa Kent's death in the first one was that Superman can't save everyone, and that's him learning that lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Was that no matter how powerful he is, no matter how fast he is, how strong he is, sometimes you just lose. And I think they were I don't know, that's the thing. I think I misunderstand why Pa Kent felt the way he did so much that he was willing to die for it.
I guess he was more worried about his son's safety than anything else. Which
I don't know.
I guess is like Snyder's way of saying he loves his son a lot.
I guess so. I did like Kevin Costner though. He's like one
Maybe
of
they
those.
couldn't afford him for the next movie. So
But he was in the next movie. He's in a flashback.
God dang it, Josh. Anyways,
Yeah, so all in all, I didn't hate it this past time, but I think that's also because I've seen the movies that have come after it, and they're so much worse.
yeah.
And so this one is like, okay, this one at least has, like, it goes from A to B, and you can follow it, and, like, people are doing dumb, like, there's very contrived moments, but it makes sense. And, like, yeah.
Yeah, like this and Wonder Woman, definitely the
two
top
best,
movies in the DC universe right now.
Yeah, for sure. So I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it for sure. And
If you had to rank it or give it a number rating.
I hate it when you ask me that. Out of what, 1 and 0?
1 loving it, 0 hating it.
What do you want out of 10?
Yeah, let's do it out of 10.
Like probably a 5.
Whoa, all right.
Like it's a fine movie. It's not a movie I would build an entire universe on.
That's fair. Yeah, overall, I give it like a 7.5.
All right.
I don't know. I liked it. Like overall, if you watch that on its own, it's like a standalone movie. I liked it.
Fair enough.
It's one of the better Superman movies for me.
Disagree, but yeah, go ahead.
But you want to wrap it up there?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. This has been, I guess, number 2 of Love It or Hate It. Although it wasn't really.
Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let us know in the comments.
And yeah.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.